So here is A Time Hop Sweet Shop Apple Pie with Amelia Earhart. And these books are written so that there's biographical information, there's some comprehension questions, there's websites you could read a little bit more, and it's all about different figures in history. But they're also written so that they're historical fiction. So they're a lot of fun too. This one happens to be about Amelia Earhart, and it has three chapters to it. Chapter 1. A very sad, very bad day. I quit, Fiona yelled. She slumped down on the counter stool. She crossed her arms and sighed loudly. Mom and Finley worked behind the counter of the sweet shop. They were making apple pies. Flour, sugar, cream, and cinnamon dusted the counter. Apples were everywhere. Usually Fiona loved the sweet shop. She loved helping Mom and Dad make old-fashioned desserts like soda cracker pie, molasses cookies, and coconut cream pie. But not today. Today was a very sad, very bad day. What do you quit? Finley asked. He was a year older than Fiona, but Fiona was just as tall, especially with her fluffy red curls. She could do everything Finley could do. Almost. Finley was supposed to be helping Mom. Instead, he'd invented a new apple cinnamon custard cupcake. He was so good at inventing yummy treats that he even had a nickname, the Cupcake King. Fiona did not have a single nickname. This made her feel even worse. The Model Rockets Club. Building stuff is dumb. I quit. Mom put down the roller she was using to flatten the dough. But you were so excited just last week. Fiona shook her head. She bit her lip. Tears filled her eyes. Daniel said that rockets are only for boys and that my rocket would be stupid because I'm a girl. Finley looked at Mom. That isn't true, is it? Oh, dear, Mom said. Her face got all funny and red like a tomato. Of course it isn't true. Fiona, you can do whatever you put your mind to. Tick-Tock, the parrot, flapped his wings on his perch. Look at the time, he squawked. Look at the time. Fiona and Finley cheered. The sweet shop was about to get a special visitor. The bell over the side door jingled. A slim woman walked in. She was dressed in a long leather jacket and riding boots. Tufts of reddish blonde hair stuck out of her leather helmet. Old-fashioned goggles were perched on her forehead. She looked just like an old black and white picture Finley saw once at school. I followed the smell of fresh apple pie all the way here, she said, grinning. You're so pretty, Fiona said. She's much more than that, Mom said, winking. Finley handed the visitor a plate of warm apple pie. This is delicious. Thank you, she said. Finley stared at her. You look very familiar. Time flies, Tick-Tock squawked, ruffling his feathers. Oh, yeah, Finley said. Flying! You're Amelia Earhart. Fiona jumped off her stool. You were one of the first lady pilots. You broke a bunch of world records. Amelia laughed. Yes, that's me. Fiona spread her arms and zoomed around the sweet shop. Then she stopped, thinking hard. You did lots of things girls hadn't done before. Amelia put down her fork. That's right. Did people tell you that you couldn't do those things because you were a girl? Yes. When I was your age, girls were supposed to wear dresses and be clean and neat and quiet. Fiona looked down at her grass-stained shorts. I don't like dresses. I can't do cartwheels in them. Finley shook his head. And you are not clean or quiet. True. I would not be a successful old-fashioned girl, Fiona agreed. Amelia laughed. Luckily, my parents let me wear pants. I wasn't supposed to ride bikes or sled down hills or build things, but I did all those things anyway. I built a roller coaster in my backyard when I was 10. Wowza, Fiona said. I like roller coasters, and riding my bike, and building things too. I'm going to build model rockets and shoot them hundreds of feet into the sky. No, you aren't, Finley corrected her. You just quit. Fiona wanted to stick her tongue out at him. Only he was right. She had quit. Her stomach felt like a big ball of squished up Play-Doh. She explained to Amelia about Daniel, how he'd made her feel sad, mad, and confused. People thought flying a plane was unladylike too, Amelia said. They tried to talk me out of it. I know just the thing for you. Come with me to May 20th, 1932. If you love roller coasters, you will love this trip. Wait a minute, Finley said. I do not love roller coasters. Not at all. I actually hate roller coasters. But Fiona had already grabbed his hand and was dragging him toward the side door. Chapter 2. Danger Over the Atlantic. The bell over the door jingled as they left. "See you soon," Tick-Tock squawked. The sweet shop began to spin. Fiona loved the spinning, twirling feeling. It felt like cartwheels. Finley hated it. It felt like the whirlpool of doom. When the world stopped spinning, Fiona and Finley realized they were not on the ground. They were high up in the sky, so high that they could look down at the puffy white clouds below the red wings of an old-fashioned airplane. They were flying with Amelia Earhart. "Oh, brother," Finley said. His face turned a funny shade of green. "Wowza," Fiona said. She gave her seatbelt a tug to make sure it was tight, then turned to her brother. "Isn't this amazing?" The engine roared. It was so hard to hear over it. Finley turned his hearing aids all the way up. "Where are we?" he asked. Amelia gripped the steering wheel. "We're in my airplane, little red bus. This is my solo flight across the Atlantic Ocean. I will be the first woman to do it." Down below the clouds, cities looked like Legos. Mountains looked like brown wrinkles. Rivers were like ribbons. It was a long way down, Finley thought. "Have you been a pilot for a long time?" Fiona asked. "Yes. I purchased my first plane when I was 24. I took flying lessons, and I learned to do stunts like this barrel roll." Amelia rolled the plane in a big loop. Finley's stomach did a loop of its own. Fiona laughed and pressed her face against the glass. She felt like a bird. A very bumpy, noisy bird. Soon it was night. Stars sparkled around them. They looked close enough to touch. The moon peeked between the darkened clouds. Down below, the Atlantic looked almost black. "Hold on tight," Amelia said. "We're heading into a storm." Rain spattered against the plane. The clouds were dark and angry. A huge bolt of lightning zigzagged ahead of them. A loud crack of thunder shook the plane. "Yikes!" Fiona and Finley gasped together. We need to outclimb this storm," Amelia shouted. She pulled back on the steering wheel. Up, up, up the plane climbed. Up into the freezing air. Finley's teeth chattered. Fiona hugged herself. It was so cold. "Oh, no," Amelia said. She pointed to a wildly spinning needle on the instrument panel. "My altimeter is broke. I don't know how high or low I am. I can't see through the clouds." "That's not our only problem," Finley said, pointing out the window. "There's ice on the wings." The plane shook so hard Fiona thought her eyeballs might fall right out. She grabbed Finley's hand. "Have courage, my friends," Amelia said. "This is going to be a bumpy ride." "What?" Finley yelled, just as Little Red Bus bounced sideways. The plane tilted and dropped, spinning straight down. Everyone screamed. Fiona's stomach did cartwheels and somersaults. Finley squeezed his eyes shut and wished he was home safe in bed. The plane kept spinning at a dizzying speed, diving nose first. They couldn't see how close they were to the ocean because of all the clouds, and the broken altimeter couldn't help them. But Amelia didn't panic. She kept her gaze ahead. Suddenly the plane burst through the clouds. Fiona shrieked. The ocean was right below them. "We'll never make it!" Chapter 3. Amelia's Grand Adventure. Amelia yanked backward on the steering wheel as hard as she could. The plane leveled out. Everyone took a deep breath. "See, I told you we'd make it," Fiona grinned shakily. Finley peeked through the eyelids and stared at the waves. They were flying only 10 feet above the water. "We just dropped 3,000 feet, Amelia said. "I think I'm going to have a heart attack," Finley groaned and clutched his chest. Fiona's heart was beating super fast, too. And they weren't safe yet. "Fire!" Finley cried. Bright red flames streamed from the front of the plane. "The exhaust pipe is cracked," Amelia said, "and our fuel gauge is jammed. I don't know how much fuel we have. Are we going to run out of gas over the ocean?" Finley's face was so white, he looked like a sheet of paper. Amelia pressed her lips together. "Not if I can help it. I'm going as fast as I can." Fiona and Finley held hands. Little Red Bus kept flying. Slowly the sky began to lighten. The purple, orange, and red colors of the sunrise painted the clouds. It was like flying through rainbows of cotton candy. Look, a seagull! Finley pointed out the window. A craggy coastline appeared. Soon they were flying over the green countryside of Ireland. We made it! Fiona cheered. But where's the airport? Finley asked. Amelia laughed. There's no airport here. Look at that pasture over there. That's a perfect runway. The cows mooed loudly. They dashed in every direction as the plane zoomed right over them. Amelia carefully landed Little Red Bus, smack dab in the middle of the cow pasture. You did it! Fiona and Finley yelled. Amelia smiled, the biggest smile of her life. 2,026 miles. It took us 14 hours, 56 minutes. We just set the record for the longest and fastest non-stop flight in history. Wowza! I had no idea flying was as hard and scary, Fiona said. Planes were not built as safely in my day as they are in your time, Amelia said. Flying is always a grand adventure for me. But weren't you scared? Finley asked. Sometimes, but courage is doing something even when you're scared. And even when people tell you that you can't do something, Fiona asked, especially then. You can do anything you decide to do. You can act to change and control your life. Amelia patted Fiona's head. Fiona, you can do anything that a boy can do. But what if you don't know how? Amelia laughed. The most effective way to do it is to do it. Fiona felt full of determination. I can build an awesome rocket. I can be a pilot when I grow up. Maybe even an astronaut. I could be the first person to land on Mars. Yes, that's the spirit. And remember, you can do many things. I also took care of soldiers during World War I. I taught English to people who had just moved to this country. I wrote books and magazine articles. I started my own clothing line for active women. And of course, I was a pilot. Wowza, Fiona whispered. She wanted to be just like Amelia Earhart. Just be the best you can be, Amelia said with a wink. Everyone has their own Atlantic to fly, their own dream, their own challenge. Now, I think I've kept you from your supper for long enough, and I need to get on with my next adventure. I'm also going to be the first woman to fly across the United States. Fiona and Finley hugged Amelia. Then the plane began to tilt around them. Everything spun like the inside of a washing machine. They tumbled through the side door of the sweet shop. Just in time, Tick-Tock squawked. Tick-Tock took the words right out of my mouth, Mom said, smiling. Time for supper. Who wants apple pie for dessert? Finley lay on the floor holding his stomach. No more spinning. Fiona jumped up. After supper, I'm going to draw my new idea for my model rocket. It's going to be fantastic. Mom gave Fiona a high five. I'm so glad to hear that. Fiona helped Finley to his feet. No more spinning, she promised, for tonight at least. This was Apple Pie with Amelia Earhart. And the biographical material about Amelia Earhart starts next, showing us when and where she was born and all the different things that she did. We then have some different questions like, why was Fiona having such a bad day? Was it easy for women to become pilots during Amelia Earhart's time? Why or why not? How did Amelia Earhart show courage? Can you name a time when you had to be brave and courageous? What happened? There are websites to visit and even questions and answers with our author. And finally, the author and the illustrator listed in the back. This is just one book in an entire series of books that has come out. We also have Gingerbread with Abigail Adams, Sundays with Harriet Tubman, Cookies with Clara Barton, Ice Cream with Albert Einstein, Toffee with Thomas Edison, Brownies with Benjamin Franklin, and even more. So come check these out when we're back at school, and have a wonderful day.